Hey everyone, and welcome back to another BlizzCon 2015 video about World of Warcraft Legion, and this video is going to be about items, particularly the big legendary item announcement from the BlizzCon Systems panel. They opened the item discussion by talking about the old world drops that used to be in the game, particularly in vanilla, and especially how they had some pretty cool effects. Moving on into Warlords, they are bringing that system back. But not with epics, instead with legendary quality items. Yes, legendaries are going to be a very different beast from now on. These legendary items are going to be very rare and very powerful, and they're going to have effects that pertain to specific classes and specs. Examples include Feat, which will cause your Avenger's Shield to decrease the Guardian of Ancient Kings cooldown by 4 seconds for every target that it hits. Another one gives your dots a chance to apply their full durations effect on a given tick. And another increases speed based on your haste, and then the final one that they showed off will do constant damage to nearby enemies. Those effects are subject to change and balancing, of course. As far as power goes, they actually said that all items can scale right up to the point where they could be the best item level. They then quickly said not to worry and that harder content will always be the best way to get a higher item level, with the guy specifically saying, look, you're not going to be chain running normal dungeons to try to get gear to proc at a really high item level. Ooh, I'm a bit worried about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. We're also not 100% sure about what these legendary items are going to be like in terms of their relative power, or whether they're going to drop from more than just the world content. They're also not 100% random either. You can essentially target a specific item of your choice. We don't know how, but overall they are planned to be a very rare and very special item. And that is a lot to take in, so let's talk about my thoughts on the topic. Firstly, I really love the idea of the effects that are based on your class and spec, and some of the more fun utility abilities. I think that stuff is really great, and it could be a lot of fun. I can see loads of people being worried about the balance here, and I think they are really valid concerns. But I suppose I almost have to wonder if their pursuit for homogenization and class balance ended up removing a lot of really fun things from the game that perhaps gave a lot of the classes more flavor. That's one of the things I keep on hearing people bring up with vanilla. So I have to wonder if having a bit less balance in some outliers is worth having the ability to add these unique effects into the game. From my own personal perspective, I can't imagine just regularly playing the game and having a cool effect that augments my hunter being a really exciting part of gameplay. Now, that said, the news that any item can scale to any item level, pretty much, is definitely worrying. And from what we also know, procced gem slots are still a thing. So essentially, this is super Warforged with gem slots. We don't exactly know about tertiary stats as of yet. Looking at all of this, I think those of us who didn't like RNG loot are going to be in for a little bit of a disappointment. Now, from the RNG loot perspective, I never gave a shit about the tertiary stats anyway. It was just that all that Warforged and gem slot stuff was a bit of a pain in the ass. Well, it seems like they're doubling down on that. I'm a bit disappointed, honestly. It's more treadmill friendly than ever, which, yeah, there are some pluses to that, and that stuff is more replayable, but it's not replayable because it's new content. It's replayable because there's a reward RNG system going on there. Overall, I don't know if that's a good thing. I suppose I mind this a lot less for dungeons and, say, world content gear, but I think it's a massive worry for raiding, and certainly I can imagine the Mythic raiding community being partially up in arms and very worried about all of this stuff. They're already not happy about many things like the gem slots and the Warforged, so I can't see this being particularly exciting for them. Anyway, the idea of having world loot that scales super high is it's a bit weird to me. Now, if they're able to scale that world content to be properly hard, then maybe it's a little bit more acceptable. Now, overall, we will get more details, and we absolutely need more details before we can properly analyze this. But suffice to say, these RNG elements have me rather worried about aspects of the game's gearing. As for the items being legendary, well, legendary is just the color and it's just the name, really. The legendary items in the game have not been legendary for a long time, and in effect, they seem to be making these the new epic items of the game. That could work out very well overall, and I'm sure they could be a really exciting thing to have drop, but there is just a worry about how they fit into the wider picture of gearing, and that's got me concerned. Also, they've only talked about world content here. Will we be able to get legendaries from raids, or is this just a world thing? Again, we need to know, and will the average bit of, say, heroic raid gear be a higher item level than one of these legendaries? Again, we just still need to know. So it's hard to draw any steadfast conclusions here. I expect many people will, in the comments of this video, will be particularly juicy, but I think we have to wait, though, of course, with a little bit of worry. And that's legendaries covered. There are just one or two more things to gloss over here. So they have announced that we will be able to trade duplicate pieces of personal loot to other raid members. Overall, I think that's pretty darn great. And they also talked a bit about the crafting gear and how they want that to feel more unique. So it can have specific class effects, which is, again, quite nice, and I think there are some class effects that are maybe similar to what we could be getting on these legendary items, and also dual-crafted items will come with gem slots. Makes quite a bit of sense. Some bits of gear can also have special things. For an example, they talked about a hat with an on-use gun, which I think is pretty snazzy. Overall, these elements do seem fun, but we need more details, and I suppose I don't have much of a closing opinion on this. Aspects do worry me, but there is a lot of potential here. The devs said they are going to go into more detail later, so until then, that's pretty much it for me. Leave your comments down in the comments of this video. I'm sure I don't even need to say that, people will. Or if you want a more direct chat, hit me up on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you next time.